Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Reverend Jeanne MacLaughlin. I'm the spiritual leader of Unity Church of Sun Lakes. We are on a summer break right now, and so I want to welcome you into my home. And on that note, I hope you're enjoying your summer. I just got back from a lovely vacation in Wisconsin with my family. It was wonderful. We played cards, lots of games. We were out in nature. We rented a resort on a lake, and we rented a cabin on a lake at this place called Whiplash Retreat in Hayward, Wisconsin. And it was lovely, really lovely. So I hope each and every one of you are also enjoying your summer, and I do look forward to seeing all of you in a couple of weeks, few weeks. I do miss you so. So today we continue to look at this idea of divine guidance and how to know when it's divine and when it's not. Last week we said the very first thing we must do in order to be divinely guided is to have a what? A willingness to listen. And we talked about the power in the simple act of going into the silence and saying, God, I'm listening. Okay, so I'm listening. Now what? Now what? Well, I'm going to share with you two stories, each of which answers that now what question. When I've told both of them, let's see if we can figure it out together. A young man had been to Wednesday night Bible study. The pastor had shared about divine guidance and a willingness to listen to God. The young man couldn't help but wonder, does God still speak to people? And after service, he went out with some friends for coffee and pie, and they discussed the message. Several different ones talked about how God had led them in different ways. It was about 10 o'clock when the young man started driving home. Sitting in his car, he just began to pray. God, if you still speak to people, speak to me. I will listen. As he drove down the main street of his town, he had the strangest thought. Stop and buy a gallon of milk. He shook his head and he said out loud, God, how do I know it's you? He didn't get a reply and started on toward home. But again, the thought, buy a gallon of milk. The young man thought about Samuel and how he didn't recognize the voice of God. Okay, God, in case that is you, I will buy the milk. What's the harm? He could always use the milk. He stopped and purchased the gallon of milk and started off toward home. As he passed 7th Street, he again felt the urge. Turn down that street. This is crazy, he thought, and drove on past the intersection. Again, he felt that he should turn down 7th Street. At the next intersection, he turned back and headed down 7th Street. Half jokingly, he said out loud, okay, God, I will. He drove several blocks when suddenly he felt like he should stop. He pulled over to the curb and looked around. He was in a semi-commercial area of town. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst of neighborhoods either. The businesses were closed, and most of the houses looked dark, like the people were already in bed. Again, he sensed something. Go and give the milk to the people in the house across the street. The young man looked at the house. It was dark, and it looked like the people were either gone or they were already asleep. He started to open the car door and then sat back in the car seat. Lord, this is insane. Those people are asleep, and if I wake them up, they're going to be mad, and I'll look stupid. Again, he felt like he should go and give the milk. Finally, he opened the door. Okay, God, if this is you, I will go to the door and I will give them the milk. If you want me to look like a crazy person, okay. But he wanted to be obedient. He said, I guess it'll count for something. But if they don't answer right away, I'm out of here. He walked across the street and rang the bell. He could hear some noise inside. A man's voice yelled out, "Who is it? What do you want?" Then the door opened before the young man could get away. The man was standing there in his jeans and a t-shirt. He looked like he'd just got out of bed. He had a strange look on his face, and he didn't seem too happy to have some stranger standing on his doorstep. "What is it?" The young man thrust out the gallon of milk. "Here, I brought this to you." The man took the milk and rushed down a hallway, speaking loudly in Spanish. Then from down the hall came a woman carrying the milk toward the kitchen. The man was following her, holding a baby. The baby was crying. The man had tears streaming down his face. The man began speaking and half crying. "We were just praying. We had some big bills this month, and we ran out of money. We didn't have any milk for our baby. I was just praying and asking God to show me how to get some milk." His wife in the kitchen yelled out, "I asked God to send an angel with some. Are you an angel?" The young man reached into his wallet and pulled out all the money he had on him and put it in the man's hand. He turned and walked back toward the car, and the tears were streaming down his face. What a touching and powerful story, which provides a pretty clear answer to the question, I'm listening. Now what? But just in case you aren't sure about the answer, here's another one. Two men were walking in a field when a bull charged them. One man scampered up a tree while the other stood defiantly in the bull's path. "Get up here, you idiot!" called the man in the branches. "The Lord will protect me," retorted the other man. "No, get up here, you idiot!" the other screamed again. Just at the very moment, the bull butted the man on the ground, tossing him like a rag doll into the air, and then trotted off triumphantly. The friend scampered down from the tree to help his bruised friend. "I thought for sure the Lord would help me," complained the injured man. "He tried," answered his friend. "Didn't you hear him calling you from the tree?" So what is the answer to the question, I'm listening? Now what? Follow that voice and take action. The Spirit within us is God. And only to the degree that we listen to and seek to obey this Spirit shall we really succeed. I'm listening. Now what? Now follow. Now obey. Now do something. In her book, Building Your Field of Dreams, Mary Morrissey has a chapter entitled Guidance, Recognizing the Voice of Inspired Insight. And in this chapter, she shares a letter that one of her congregants once wrote to her, describing how listening and acting upon her inner voice guided her toward fulfilling a dream. I was desperate. I'd lost my job. I was depressed. I was lonely. I didn't know what to do. I had heard about a singles potluck, and the voice inside me urged me to attend. But I didn't really feel that good, and I hadn't gotten ready. Still, I kept feeling this nudging to go to the singles potluck. It got later and later, until I realized that if I actually did go, I'd be an hour late. So that was it. I decided not to go. But that nudging, it said, go. And so I finally thought, okay, if I'm to practice following this voice, I'd better go. If I'm late, I'm late. So she raced to the store for chips and dip. Arriving at the potluck over an hour late, she found one of a few vacant seats at the dinner table. As it happened, the person sitting next to her just happened to be looking for an employee with her skills and background. She concluded her letter. The voice said, go. All I had to do was do what I was told. All I had to do was do what I was told. I am suggesting today that it is time to listen and to follow. It is time to listen and to do what we are told. It is time to listen and to obey. For those of you who have authority issues, don't get your dander up. Not because somebody is telling us what we have to do. This is not a parental type thing. This is not an authoritarian thing. Mary Morrissey writes, calmly, clearly, and without judgment. Our inner voice is always ready to help us move toward our highest good at any time we choose to listen. As we increasingly listen to and follow our inner guidance, we find ourselves navigated to our dream. You will be told very specifically, listen, and you will be led. Remember, God can do for us only what God can do through us. Willingly follow your voice of God, even if you would rather sit at home and fret. There is an important concept here. Follow that voice to the edge of the light you see. The psalmist sings to God, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." When you carry a lantern at night, the path ahead is illumined only a step or two at a time. Go to the edge of the light you see. Take a step, even a baby step, and only then can the light show you the next step. Some of us want guidance, but we demand to know all the details up front. We don't want a lantern. We want a floodlight. If we can't see the end of the path from where it begins, we become paralyzed. The man in our story at the beginning of my talk didn't know the entire plan up front. He didn't have an inner nudging that said, "Go buy milk, turn down 7th Street into a questionable neighborhood, and go knock on the door of a dark house to give the occupants the milk." If he had, he may well have headed for home as fast as he could, right? Guidance works only one step at a time. And only when you willingly take action. Remember when I told you that I saw on Facebook that Reverend Debbie Adams was leaving the valley? I immediately contacted her and set up a coaching session with her. Prior to that, 2 people suggested to me that I should apply for the Unity of Sun Lakes position. After my meeting with Debbie, I applied for the position. If I didn't take those actions, I would have never become the spiritual leader of this church. Okay, so you are willing to listen and you are ready to take action. But you still have that knowing question. How do I know it's you, God? So here are a couple of ideas to help answer that question. First, remember, Spirit's voice is always a voice of love. In the New Testament, we are told God is love. That is as simple as it gets. The voice of God within is never one of correction, punishment, discipline, revenge. The voice of God never contaminates or condemns. It always empowers. It is honest and is based on integrity. Does it harm no one or nothing intentionally? If I follow what I'm hearing, will it increase my level of enlightenment? Will it make me lighter, freer? Will I have more joy, peace, love, and freedom? It's Spirit speaking when we expect that the fruits and attributes of Spirit will be the result. So we now have a few ideas to help us be divinely guided through life. The first is to have a willingness to listen. A powerful prayer is, God, I am listening. The second is to evaluate whether or not it's God talking, and by asking a few simple questions. And the third is to be willing to take action. Do something. Do what is in front of you, even if you don't have the full picture yet. These things are not something that we can just read about. We have to experience it firsthand. We have to use the techniques, personalize them, and then we become believers. Jesus called guidance our daily bread. The reason for this is very fundamental. Our contact with God must be a living one. It is our momentary attitude to God which governs our being. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. We are divinely guided and guarded and directed. I know that this is the truth. And you know what they say about the truth. The truth shall set you free. Namaste. And to close, let's repeat our summer's affirmation. I hope you're all using it, or another affirmation this summer. I am loved, I am love, I love. I am loved, I am love, I am. Have a beautiful week. I love you. God bless. Stay cool. Namaste.